Hey, good afternoon. Happy Wednesday from Washington State. I'm one of your hosts, John Hansman, and Ryan. It's just you and me today because Emilio, if you're watching, is slacking off. So he had to drop out at the last minute, and we've yet to decide whether we're going to vote him off the island. So stay tuned. And you'll know whether Emilio will be back next week. I'm just joking. I'm being facetious.
He just graduated from that amazing program he was in.
That's what I saw. I saw that he just went through Small Business Academy through, I think it's SAP or one of those.
Yes, with Goldman Sachs, and that's exciting. So yeah. He's got to be on a high from that. I'm really excited.
He's probably just feeling like he's living the dream all of a sudden. Is what I think is happening. I'm going to fix my camera so that I'm not crooked. I was a little bit sideways. But
yeah, we're all crooked in our own
way. We're all crooked in one way or another, my friend. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about why tools, while important, are not the end game. And I think, we're going to have probably a shorter podcast today because it's just you and me. But I think it's really important. I hear a lot of small businesses talk, well, I've got Windows Defender, or I've got this virus protection.
I've got a firewall.
Or worse yet, I had a client, no joke, who got ransomware. And when I went to him and said, I had given them a quote probably 6 months prior, I gave them a quote. And when I said, well, you don't have any virus protection anywhere on your computer, he said, oh, well, Comcast gives us virus protection. And then he was talking about their firewall, extra-additional firewall settings. He wasn't talking about anything that actually moved the needle.
No, it's not. It's moving the needle the other way.
Yeah, it was definitely moving the needle the other way. And they lived it out because they had a full ransomware attack. If you watch I'm doing an interview. It's going to drop next week on Tuesday. Melody Padron with IT Architects out in Texas. When I was out there for the event, we went to a podcast studio that they use, and we did a whole hour and 15-minute podcast. It was a blast. It was so much fun. It's more nicer than my office. It was really a great setup, and it was pretty great. But we had a part where I talked about how I've actually talked with some of these Russian hackers before. And there's two different times that I've talked with them. One of them, I had a really chilling. I gotta find that video somewhere. I'm gonna look for it.
We should play it.
And it was chilling. It was crazy. The other one was I called the ransomware gang, and it was this event. And I talked with them, and they were like, "Mr. Customer Service, well, we really want to help you, sir. Thanks for calling. We hacked you," and it was just it was the craziest thing. They just don't care. That's just the reality.
Yeah, they just don't care, and they would sell their own mother to make a buck.
And they probably do in some cases. They probably hack their own mother. So I guess that's the question. The question is, well, let's just do this. Sales objection. Let's play the sales objection IT management game today. It's called, Why Do I Even Need You?
I don't know. Why do you need us?
Why do you need me?
Well, we provide the smarts behind everything.
Right. And I think that's where people forget. Example, I just had somebody, I was just having a meeting with one of my clients that has changed his business around, and we were moving things around for them. And they have been trying to solve a problem for weeks that they could have just called, and I would have had figured out in about 5 minutes.
Don't you love that?
And you think about how much just time and money, really time, if time is money, that they literally spent on this thing that they just didn't have to. They really didn't have to do that.
So tell me a little story.
Well, what do you mean a little story?
Well, tell me a big story then.
Oh, well, I don't have any huge story. I think when we're talking about this, there's two things that we as IT people bring to the table. One of them is just the fact that I can solve, or my team can solve IT issues much faster than the average person, because we live and we breathe this literally every single day, and we've probably seen what you're going through before. The other part of it is that if cybersecurity incidents are getting more complicated because people are using AI to generate them, and we're starting to see an increase of really smart incidents where like they're actually complicated to pull off and people are able to do this. Don't you really want to have competent people who are in the industry seeing the trends, watching your business? And that's really what it comes down to. Like we're talking about a level of having the right professionals to serve you.
It's like a car mechanic. You're paying for their smarts. You're not paying for their wrenches, and you're not paying for all their tools they use.
Right.
You're paying for the smarts because they know which nut to turn in which direction and which gear to shift in that. So, that's how I look at it. And, we can have all the tools in the world, but if we don't have good people that are qualified and know what they're doing behind it, it's just, it's a crazy world.
Yeah, and it goes back to, remember the story that sometimes floats around Facebook about how the mechanic walked into the ship that was broken, and he hit the spot on the on the engine, and the engine comes to life, and he gives them a $5,000 bill, and the person says, well, why was the bill $5,000? You were only there for 5 minutes. He goes, well, $500 of that is my time. The other part of it is knowing where to hit the hammer on the engine,
and all that experience to know where to hit
all that experience and like being able to see all that stuff.
So we have all these tools that we use nowadays, and we use them. John, I know you use them, EDR, XDR, SIEM, SOC, all these acronyms and all these alphabet soup that all help us do this. But how do we make them work? Like, what makes them work?
Well, it's because we know what tools to put in. And part of it is we also know what tools to put in what situation, right? Like, if you're a medical business versus a contractor, like an electrical contractor, we're going to put in a different type of system for you. We're not going to put in the same thing. We're going to be building something specific to your business. And I think that's where a lot of people just forget. They forget that, too much is too much. Mm-hmm. Too little is too little. And it's our job as the professional to be able to tell you what you actually need for your particular type of business. And I think that's where sometimes the translation gets lost, right? You get people who they just feel, okay, we're just good with this, and that's it. And they don't necessarily think about the fact that there's a lot more to cybersecurity today than just having virus protection installed on your system.
Like, it's just 10 years ago, that was sufficient. Put some virus on, have a firewall.
Yeah.
But the world's changed a ton, especially in the last couple of years.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
So, one of the things that I always talk about is, sometimes, this says tools can catch it, but is that, Bob or Mary logging in from, Venezuela because they're on vacation? Or is that Bob or Mary's, double that's not really Bob and Mary that's going to do something bad to the network or bad to your client data? So, the tools don't know that Bob and Mary are the real Bob and Mary, or they're the imitation Bob and Mary.
I muted myself. And the reality is that when we look at tools today, there are false positives. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in the background on computers that most people don't fully understand. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff in the tools and how a computer works. There's certain baselines that happen, and the idea of new antivirus technology is not comparing bad files to good files. It's actually behavior. It's actually looking at the computer and saying, this behavior is completely normal. And then when some outliner happens, you've got something to look at that creates an alert. And we saw this when we looked at one of the supply chain attacks for 3CX. They're a really great example. They unknowingly sent out an update, and a lot of software that's used in our industry. Actually, our industry is probably one of the industries that actually single-handedly stopped that attack, because those softwares, like the one we were using, Total, and not Sonic Wall. I'm thinking of what's the other Sophos.
Sophos, yeah.
They actually saw the anomaly in the code, and in some cases, they just completely blocked the whole update or that whole software program after it's updated. In other cases, one of the companies actually was able to find the anomaly in the code, strip it out, and then make the program still work.
It's crazy. We just had something that happened today. We had a SOC alert for one of our clients, and it was a piece of malware. They isolated the computer very quickly, which was great. But it was a brand new piece of malware. There was 0 signatures out on it when my team investigated it. Wow. Which those things are always the scary ones, because we don't know what it's going to do. I mean, we can analyze it. We analyze all the signatures. We analyze all the hierarchy of how the thing, how the actual malware executed, and we can kind of track back to where it went, but we don't have much data on what happened. So in those cases, we have to just find a way to make it work, find a way to make it more secure, even though we don't know much. And those are always the ones that make your jaw drop, because you're the first, or you're one of the first 100 people that have seen this. Yeah. So exactly. Those are always amazing, but without the actual person in the middle, the tool's not telling us anything, but you need the actual person to look at it and say, okay, this is a real attack that's going on. Yeah. We got to get rid of it. We got to isolate it, and we got to move on to the next thing of how we're going to make sure this doesn't happen in the future.
Totally. I won't do it today. I think I'm going to reuse it for later, but I found the video I was talking about.
We definitely need to play that for.
I think I'm gonna grab it, because the video is literally me having my camera sitting up facing the ceiling. So because we were on his phone, so there's not really any need for the video. But I'm gonna pull the video. I'm gonna pull the audio out, and we'll play it at one of our next podcasts, because I think it's telling when you listen to them chilling. Tell you, no, I have no problem stealing money from you. Yeah, I'll take it all. Like I have no problem with that whatsoever.
I had one time that said, well, will you hire me? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to hire you, because you just tried to hack into one of my clients. Right. And I was like, that's bold. And that happened earlier this year. That's a bold move, but it was just a weird instance and a weird interaction.
That is very weird. Like, hey, I mean, I guess at least he's talented.
Yeah, talented enough to get through, to get to the point. And it was a business email compromise that only got about halfway before we caught it, thank God. Now that client has way more protection than they ever know what to do with.
Which is good.
So, with all these tools, John, all this data, I mean, there's just data flying at us 24/7. The data is just, it's voluminous, the amount of data flying at us. Totally. What is how does your team, respond, and how does your team kind of analyze and what the smarts behind the tools of the humans? Can you just talk a little bit about what the humans are doing to make sure that this is a real attack, a fake, a false positive, or it's just some nuisance thing?
Well, what I think most people fail to realize is that most of the people that are behind our products, they're not regular technicians. Most of the people behind our products are very well educated cybersecurity experts. And I had somebody recently when I was telling them we were talking about cybersecurity and pricing and all that, and his words were, "Well, why is cybersecurity so expensive?" And it's because we have to put good people behind those tools in order to make sure that they're actually not having false positives that shut down businesses, but knowing how to properly remediate each type of alert or each type of incident that happens. Different types of viruses, different types of ransomware, different types of compromises get handled and resolved different from one another. And you need somebody who's able to tell you how to remediate each one and do it properly so that you actually get rid of the thing. The last thing you want to do is improperly get rid of something and then later on find out that you should have taken an extra step that you missed, and now the customer is completely re-compromising it.
Yeah, and that happens. The re-compromises, unfortunately, that happens to businesses. And what is the statistic, John? People are in systems, I think, is it 87 days before they launch?
Well, it's more than that. The last I heard, it's 120 days on average that somebody sits in a system undetected. But one of the things that I've heard on multiple occasions that most people don't realize is that those cyber criminals put you on a list. And when you get on that list, they sell that list out to other people.
Dark web
organizations. So now you literally have all your information with basically people saying, "Well, these guys are a bunch of idiots. Let's hack them again."
Yeah.
And so now you got a thing where you have the potential that your business can just get re-compromised because you didn't take the right steps.
Yeah. I remember years ago, I did cybersecurity almost 30 years ago, and it was like the wild, wild west then. We didn't have even 2% of the data we have today. Mm-hmm. And the analysis would take hours, days sometimes to analyze a breach.
Yeah.
And the tools we have today can help us pinpoint the breaches, even though we need to have the human in the loop, but we can pinpoint these breaches much faster in less than an hour. Years ago, like 30 years ago, this would have taken days to figure out what happened. So that's the amazing amount of telemetry we have coming from systems nowadays is just so helpful, and in those days we had to shut down the system. We couldn't leave it online. People couldn't work for days. Now we have all the tools at our disposal to get people back up and running, to analyze it very quickly, and to make them be more secure in a very fast manner. So,
well, that's it. And I think the reality is it's complicated. Like even our team, sometimes we'll get something in and we're looking at this like, oh, we don't know about this particular event. And our team that we work with, that's what they do all day long. Like their primary job and the thing that they're doing is looking at security events that are happening around the world. And because that's their primary thing's not tech support printer issues, it's cybersecurity incidents. They've seen most of the things that have happened unless it's a completely brand new thing. And then when it happens to someone else a week later, a couple of days later, they've go, well, I just saw that one. That one's a new one. And they're already ready for it.
Yeah.
And they're able to look at the code and the actual bits of that information, and they're able to see what type of event that is and handle it accordingly. Again, one type of event or type of file or one type of virus you get rid of different from another. If it's a business email compromise, there's steps to make sure you don't get re-compromised. If it's ransomware, you have to make sure that it's literally off every piece of equipment in the system, or it just gets reinfected. So there's a checklist, there's a process, there's a thing that has to be done. in order to make sure that your business actually gets up the first time.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know about you, John, but we've taken on new clients and they have what's called a SIEM, which is like basically a system that correlates security events and events that are happening on a network or on a computer. And they have these beautiful systems, but nobody's watching it. Nobody's monitoring it. Nobody's analyzing it. Yep. And, this is where a lot of stuff happens. This is where a lot of stuff gets caught, and both I know you do, John, and we do too. We have a team, not only our own team, but we have a team of hundreds of people behind us that are analyzing these alerts and analyzing everything. So getting that team of experts there that are analyzing these things on a daily basis, and these are 24-hour, 7-day-a-week teams. So, while we're sleeping, there's people up watching.
Well, exactly. And I don't think it's a matter of just analyzing. It's like we give the power to our security teams to actually stop things in the middle of the night.
Yes.
So if a virus happens or if somebody actually somehow gets in, this is a really common thing with the old Exchange servers where they're online all the time and people were able to find ways to execute code on them. And at 2 a.m. while everyone's sleeping, someone's trying to hack into your Exchange server. If you're not watching, they can run code in the background and be able to get access. Versus now, when you have the right things in place, you've got a security team that sees alerts and they're able to isolate that thing immediately, block whatever's. We actually had when we had taken over an account, and within it was less than a month after we put all of our software on, somebody was trying to run code on their Exchange server that we were in the middle of decommissioning.
Oh, wow.
And our software literally saw it, stopped the instance, kept the code from running, and then it gave us the way to look and figure out where the doorway was that they got in. And the reality is we don't really know what was going on previous to us getting there.
Or how many days they were in there.
And how many days they were in there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some ways to know, but by the time we caught it all, it was already too late.
Yeah. Well, they're good. They're in good hands though.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So yeah, these tools aren't, the biggest message that I'd like to get out there and that we'd like to get out there is these tools are not plug and play. You can't just install them and set it, the old rotisserie chicken where you set it and forget it, these set it and forget it tools. These need care and feeding. They need the experts looking at it. Right. And then we also have teams of people that we reach out to, if it gets past something that's stopped, if it ever gets past that, there's incident response teams that we reach out to that do this, that do this every single day. They've probably been going to school for this for many years. They've been doing it in business for 10, 20 years. And that's what they do every day. And they know every little lever to pull and they know every little lever to take. We know how to do those things too, but there's
I think the important thing to realize too is when we're looking at this, and if you're a business that has employees, your level of risk is way different from if you're a solopreneur. Unless you're kind of one of those click happy knucklehead solopreneurs. Then maybe your risk level is really high. But if you're somebody who's alert and aware and you're a solopreneur, you probably don't need that service yet. You need something.
Yep.
But when you add employees, now you need somebody to be able to even know that something's going on, because if you're just installing regular virus protection on your computer, you're dependent on the individual who has that computer to report to you that something was found. Versus when you have a company, we actually get alerts, we actually respond to alerts, we actually do something with them, and your user doesn't require anything. So definitely when you are in a business place where you're starting to add employees, you really need to be thinking about how are you actually going to protect your business from the mistakes of your employees. When you're a solopreneur, not as big of a deal. You need to have something, and that's where some of us can just help you figure that out and navigate it. But when you start adding staff, your risk level goes through the roof. Especially if there's staff that you don't know. Like you interview people, and you can have a sense of whether they're a knucklehead or not.
Yeah.
But you sometimes don't know how bad they are at certain things until they're down the road working for you.
Yeah, and the threat levels just go up exponential. It's not linear; it's an exponential increase in threat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and when you take your car in, when you have a refrigerator or a washer or dryer work done, sure they might have all the right tools, but you're not paying those people for the tools and for the know-how and for the software that they're using. You're paying that, well, you are paying them for their know-how, but you're paying them for that years of expertise because they had a hunch when they hear that washer squeak on the rinse cycle, they know exactly what's wrong. And that's what you want, the security expertise, the cybersecurity expertise. When we get a hunch, we generally can pinpoint that quickly. And our deep teams behind us can pinpoint those things so quickly, and we can knock them out so quickly compared to even 5 years ago.
Exactly.
And the data and the telemetry that we have now is just, it's like going to the ICU at a hospital.
Yeah.
We have all that data. We know what's going on with your computers, with your servers, your networks, with your cloud services, and quickly can respond to that. And that's that gut feeling. That gut feeling is really something critical, because without that gut feeling, we can't protect clients' data.
Yep. Exactly. Well, it's the same reason I take my car to get. I get oil changes. I'm capable of changing my own oil, but I don't. But yeah, but why? But at the same time, my IT guy, my phone, I can't even talk. My car guy, his name's Chris. He owns a Courtesy Goodyear. I'm just gonna promote him here in Olympia. If you need a car place, he's awesome, and the guy knows his stuff. There's been times where I've come in and said, I hear this noise, and you ever see the commercials are like, they making a weird noise. Oh yeah, that's a blah, blah, blah. And 9 times out of 10, he's right, because he does it every single day.
I have a Chris here. I get it. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's the same thing with us.
Yeah.
We're your trusted advisor to help you navigate cybersecurity properly. We're also the advisor to help you navigate just general technology, to make sure that you're getting exactly what your business needs, making sure that you don't put your business at risk. I just talked with somebody today who's, he's got 4 businesses doing $75 million, no real protection.
Yeah. So what are some, we always like to wrap up with some good tips to give people that they can readily implement today or tomorrow morning. So, John, do you have any good tips for the folks out there that might be watching and a little scared now, like deer in the headlights?
Well, that's where we recommend just getting a risk assessment. If you're at a place in your business where you've grown substantially and you don't exactly know where your risk level is or what your risk level is, a risk assessment is the best thing you can do. And I would go for a company who actually makes you pay a little for a risk assessment, because there's a dramatic difference between a company who comes in and runs a scan and then gives you 5 little things and then leaves, versus somebody who really dives in, helps you figure out which of your employees are risky, who actually does a full comprehensive plan to look at your systems, interviews you and maybe your employees, actually does a deep dive of all the information that they find, and then provides you with an actual plan focused on your particular type of business. Somebody who just walks in, counts up 25 computers and gives you a price, they're not actually paying attention to cybersecurity and the actual risk that your specific business has.
Yeah, and
I think there's a stark difference there.
If anybody in your company is saying they use AI, you need that risk assessment now, because that's considered shadow IT, and shadow IT can get you in some big, big problems.
100%.
So, you want to get things under control with AI, and AI is great, but AI can be a very scary.
It's time to build out policy. And I think that's where a lot of people are misled. They are not building out policy for AI. They're just basically leaving employees to themselves, and they're not controlling what data actually gets put into these language models. Like, you don't want your employee list with their social security numbers floating around in ChatGPT.
I just had a conversation with someone this morning about it.
Yeah.
So. And it's just crazy. They said, oh, I use AI. I can do a lot of things with it. I said, well, do you have a governance wrapped around that? Do you have policies? And they just went silent on the other end of the Teams meeting.
What's that?
What's that? Exactly. And, and when I explained what it does, and when I explained, how their data can just go out there to the cloud, they were just silent on the other phone. They told me, in fact, until we meet about AI and helping them with their policy, they're just we're not going to use it. We're shutting it down and making everybody shut it down in the company. This is a current client of mine who has a couple people that are using it. And, when I told them, hey, and they just started using it 2-3 weeks ago, and the owner there was just terrified that are my trade secrets out there? And I said, I have no idea, but let's find out.
Right.
So, exactly. If you're using AI, you need to look at that risk. And it's great, but it's a little scary, twisty turn trail to go down.
It is. And there's now tools out there that can actually scan and help with that process.
Yeah, totally.
So maybe you have employees who are using it on their work computers and you don't even know.
Yeah. And you don't know who has ownership of that data. That's the scary part.
And that's it. With these particular types of products, you want to make sure you have the right settings to even make sure that the ChatGPT engine isn't just training on all your information either.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, this is good. I mean, this is something I feel like I have a micro conversation on what we're talking about every day with at least one, maybe two clients. And because, tools are great, but, tools, the wrenches and the hammers and all the things in the world don't build a house. The carpenter who has the smarts builds the house.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Well, it's a great conversation. We're going to wrap it up, and I'm gonna go and get that audio together, and maybe we'll bring that up next week. It should be really awesome.
I can't wait. I think we all have war stories, and I love war stories, and people learn from them.
Yeah, exactly. So, awesome. Well, thanks for showing up. Glad you made it. Considering Emilio bailed on us, and I'm just
we'll give him a pass this time. He's a great guy.
He gets one per year. That's it. And we'll be back next week.
Yeah, totally. We'll see y'all next week.
See you guys.
Yeah.